Welcome back to NC Realtors Redefined, the NC Realtors podcast. On this episode,
there's a couple different things that agents kind of get tied up in. One is, okay, well, what am I going to post? What am I going to share? Are people going to engage with that? There's kind of that feeling of, am I doing the right thing?
But first, do you have feedback on a story or topic that you'd like to hear covered on this podcast? Then give us a call at 336-550-4437. When leaving your voicemail, be sure to tell us your name and where you're from. Your comments may be used on a future episode of NC Realtors Redefined.
Welcome back to NC Realtors Redefined. Today we're joined by Heather Colby. Welcome to the show, Heather. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about a subject that I feel like is a love or a hate for so many agents. Or maybe you love to hate it, and that's social, specifically how we can leverage short form and really actually capture people's attentions in the age where we're just endlessly scrolling. So I think there's going to be some really interesting dialogue here today, and I hope that agents walk away motivated to maybe try something a little bit new and maybe get that attention and connection they've been looking for.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for our conversation. So before we hop into all of that, can you just tell us a little bit about your journey into social media marketing for agents?
Oh, sure. So I think it starts with that journey into real estate, right? So I feel like myself, my journey is a lot like agents. I kind of fell into real estate. So I've always been a professional marketer. I got my degree in marketing. And then back in 2014, I was moving back to Florida. I'm originally from Florida. I had lived elsewhere. I was moving back to Florida, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. Like so many people, right? Early 20s, what am I doing? And I saw that a brokerage in Central Florida was hiring a director of marketing. And over the years, I grew with that brokerage. You know, the brokerage got bigger, my role got bigger. And that's how I really started with real estate marketing. And I have been in real estate marketing ever since. So from the beginning of social media marketing, where, hey, I think that social could be a good idea, where we're doing things like Facebook. And if you remember social media marketing back then, you know what I'm talking about, to all the way today. And I was the CMO of a large brokerage for many years. I have my own podcast, Ideas for Real Estate, where I started sharing ideas about real estate marketing. And then in 2021, I started my own company, Ideas for Real Estate, the same name as a podcast. And we launched different solutions for brokerages and agents to really help them with their social and all of their marketing. So my journey through real estate has basically gone through all of the time of different changes in marketing, but real estate has always been something that I'm connected to. And I'm also married to a commercial agent. So real estate is really our livelihood in this house.
No, that's so fun. And I didn't even introduce myself at the top of the show. So I'm the content marketing manager at NC Realtors. So I have over a decade experience of marketing. And so like you, I have seen social media kind of evolve. Like TikTok didn't even exist, 15 years ago. And so just seeing how social media has changed, it's crazy. It's really mind blowing, right?
It's very mind blowing. And leading up to this conversation, I was always getting ready, doing my hair. I was thinking about that evolution of social and how when I really started, people were just liking your photos on Facebook. Maybe you had an embarrassing filter, but the next stage was really content marketing. So we were creating a lot of content even back then, but it was probably living on our websites in the form of blogs. And it was so much easier to kind of channel that traffic, get them in some kind of lead funnel, and even use social as lead generation. It was a lot easier then to get eyes on your content and kind of get people in that funnel. And now the reality of social has changed so much. People do not have any kind of attention spans. They're going to watch a 3-second video and they move on. You are lucky if somebody engages you. So how do you really stand out on social today so that it really makes sense and is worth your time? So that's what I think that so many agents should be thinking about when we approach social is, okay, so what am I kind of doing with my business and how can I leverage social in a way that is going to work for me? So I'm not wasting time, but I'm still generating those opportunities. And despite social being a totally different place, it's more crowded and there's a lot going on. I think there's probably more opportunity now than before to really draw people into your community, to increase your branding and your reach, and to work with more people. I really do think so, because that organic reach, the ability to not pay for ads, is something that has grown a lot over the years, despite us complaining all the time about things changing in social. There is that opportunity there that you might not have had. And especially when we think about what's working on social right now, you don't have to necessarily start from scratch with everything. There are so many trends that you can hop on. You don't need this polished, perfect content anymore. It's very easy. There's that low barrier of entry to just get going with it.
No, I agree. Like the organic reach that people can get and not even invest in ads anymore, it's insane. It's crazy. And so what would be your advice for that, like that beginner agent that you're talking to, the first step into creating that short form content on social media?
I would think when you approach short form video, there's a couple different things that agents kind of get tied up in. One is, okay, well, what am I going to post? What am I going to share? Are people going to engage with that? There's kind of that feeling of, am I doing the right thing? And then you also have the nervousness of being on camera. I don't want to talk on video. I don't want to be on camera. How am I going to make this work for me? But when we think about the type of content that's doing well on social right now, it is that imperfect nature. You don't need to go out and hire a video crew to do a short form video. You can literally have your phone, be in your car, in the Starbucks line, shoot something, and then have it explode. You just don't know. It doesn't have to be as fancy as a lot of video and things used to be before. And you also have the opportunity of a lot of faceless content mixing in to your content, which is a great way to start. I'm all for putting yourself out there and letting people make that human connection, that relationship connection. But let's be real, in real estate, people are interested in the pretty homes. They're interested in the communities. And those are things that we can leverage as you get more comfortable with social. So if you're just starting with social, to circle back to your original question, I approach marketing the same, no matter if it's marketing on social or you're doing some kind of lead gen campaign. What are we trying to do with our business, and how can marketing support that? So how can short form video support that? So if you look back at your business goals for the year and you say, okay, I really get the majority of my business from my sphere, it might make sense to leverage social in a way to connect with your sphere and to build those relationships. And then that would dictate your content strategy there. Likewise, if you say, hey, I really need to up my game when it comes to listings, how can we lean into content about that area where you might be looking for sellers? How can we lean into content that might be helpful for people selling their home in that area, and then go that way? So before you just start creating random content and thinking, oh my gosh, nothing is working. I tried the trends. I'm doing things. I'm posting sporadically. I would love for you to step back and say, okay, what am I trying to do with my business, and what type of social content can help me get there? That would be my first step. Because then you can see it more as an opportunity and less of something to be afraid of. Say, hey, this is a huge opportunity for me because I have this big goal in mind, and I know that social can get me there. So I know that's like kind of a huge question. And a lot of times agents struggle with it, but just think about it. Even if it's a 15-minute conversation by yourself at the coffee shop, it doesn't need to be something you're contemplating for months, but think about that before you really start committing to your social journey.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying, just that simplicity of grabbing your phone, because I think just thinking you need this big production team can be a stumbling block for so many people, because they're just like, oh, I want to look a certain way and feel a certain way. But if you have a smartphone, like you have a power tool right there in your pocket.
Yeah, you don't need to go out and get the fanciest equipment to spend a ton of money. You can just get started with the phone that you have. And then when you're ready to start maybe level up to a $15 tripod on Amazon. It doesn't need to be this $1,000 investment to get started. And one tip that I give for agents when you are getting started with video to help it feel more natural is to incorporate video into your daily life a little bit more. So let's say you're going out to the grocery store and you just send a quick video to your spouse or to your roommate, whatever, and you say, hey, what do you want me to pick up here in the produce? So you just get more used to being on video and not making it such a big deal. I think that that can be really helpful too. When you put a ton of pressure on yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do my video right now. That's when you kind of start to get a little nervous and you think, oh no. But if you start incorporating video more in your daily life, it'll be huge. And if you make the habit too of being that content curator, that will help you. So if you're going to a showing, get behind the scenes footage of that. If you are touring new construction homes, those are great opportunities to grab some footage. And you don't even need to be in it at that point. When you're out in the community getting brunch on a Sunday, get some footage of that and you'll start getting content and getting video footage that then you can easily repurpose for reels, for short form video, wherever you're posting. And it's not so overwhelming because you're not starting at zero.
Yes, I agree. I was thinking that when you were speaking earlier about getting that content in the community, showing your clients, where they can live, where they can play, like how they can enjoy their surroundings. And so that's just such organic content that you could get. And so what platform should agents be on? I know that's always the $1 million question because there are so many different social media channels. It's like, where should I go?
I think for when we think about social media, you want to have that intersection of where your ideal customer could be and where you enjoy being on the platform. And where those two intersect, that's where I would recommend that you be. So if you are somebody who's working with people who are downsizing, maybe retiring, maybe TikTok isn't the best platform. But then again, you never know with social now. People get very niche audiences. And I would also think too about what platform do you enjoy spending time on? If you're somebody who loves Instagram, then get on Instagram. If you're somebody who's really into YouTube, YouTube Shorts are a really big opportunity that a lot of people don't leverage. You can even put short form videos into LinkedIn as content. So think about that one main channel you want to be on. And then it's very easy to repurpose and share to the other platforms using social media scheduling tools. So you can say, okay, Instagram is my main focus, but I already have this other content. So I'm going to schedule it to share on the other platforms too, to expand my reach. But if you pick one to start with, then you'll really know how that platform works, what people are liking on it, and you'll get more comfortable using it.
No, I think that's a great tip, just wherever you're feeling most comfortable, because you're going to have most fun creating that content. And so what are some mistakes that you see agents making when it comes to short-term video?
Well, you would think, oh, it's their bad dance moves. No, that's not it. If you have bad dance moves, your video is going to get more views on it. The biggest mistake is the same mistake that we have with all marketing, is that you're just not consistent with it. So you say, oh, I went to this broker's open. I saw this fabulous house. I filmed a little short behind the scenes. I shared it. Nothing came from it. And I thought it was really cool. I worked really hard. And then 2 weeks later, I did something. And then 1 week, I did 3 things. You have to be a bit more consistent with it. And being consistent with it, what it does is kind of a couple folds. It gives you that momentum, of course, but on the other hand, it gives you your own momentum. So you're figuring out how to do things. You're realizing, hey, it's not that big a deal. If one piece of content kind of flops, another one might take off, and it actually takes less pressure off of you. So not being consistent. And also another big mistake is feeling like you have to do everything yourself. You're not a professional marketer, probably, more than likely, if you're listening to this. You probably didn't get into real estate to hold my job. You want to actually work with buyers and sellers. So don't feel like you can't leverage the help of other people or some templates that you can make your own or trends that you can hop on. I really believe in that. You don't have to recreate the wheel and start from zero every single time. I mean, obviously, I believe in that because that's kind of what I do. So I've seen it work for agents. It's just you want to give everything your own personality and flair and make it very hyper local to your area to make it your own.
Yeah, those are great tips. And so when it comes to thinking about lead generation, so I mean, they're posting these videos because they want to get leads.
Mhm.
What kind of tips would you give to agents for that?
Well, so I create like a multicolored content calendar every month for agents. And one of the colors is bright yellow. And I call it listing and lead gens. That is when we are actively asking for business because it's not a bad thing to say, hey, this is who I am. This is how I can help you. Here's the next step in your journey. A lot of agents, though, they do that every single day. Hey, I'm an agent. I can work with you. Hey, do you have any referrals? Send them my way. Hey, do you know it's a hot market? It's a great time to buy or sell. Like you've seen these things, and people start to tune it out. And then other more classic opportunities for lead gens, like request your home valuation. People aren't doing that because they know that they can just go to Zillow and get information. Whether we think that that's accurate or not, that's a different conversation. But those type of lead gen techniques don't really work as well. So when we think about actually getting business from social, whatever platform it is, I think you have kind of two different options. One is you're really building that personal brand as an agent that people are connecting with, and they might be lurking in the background, viewing your content, seeing your posts for a while, and then at the right moment, they reach out to you. Maybe they see one of those posts that is a here's how I can help you take you down the line type of content. And then the other opportunity too is you can do lead gen on social, but you might want to do it a little bit more relevantly. So right now it's September when we are recording this. One of the things that is the biggest that I do with agents is our holiday marketing campaigns. Everybody loves the holiday marketing because it's not as salesy. So, one way that you can kind of grow your list in the local community is you can create something like a local holiday guide, and you can put things that are going on, best places to eat. It doesn't have to just be events. Everybody's doing that, but your take on it, where people can go experience moments with their family, your insider knowledge, put all of that in a package and then offer it on social. Now, those people probably aren't going to be hot and ready to buy or sell a house, but you're still growing your lead community, I guess, of people that might be interested. And you can do the same things for people who do have more of an active need. So maybe you have some kind of buyer guide, a seller guide, a relocating to your area, or a community guide. Those work really well. And if you're shooting a lot of content, let's say you're sharing lifestyle content, you're sharing what it really is like to live in an area, you're sharing what it's like to move to an area, you're even sharing properties in the area. You can use something like a relocation or a community guide, like a really good one to get people interested, and you can send them that their way. So there are different things. And if you have listings, that's a gold mine of opportunities to get people interested in the property.
Now, I like that you're saying kind of build your brand personality and brand awareness of who you are to your community. And so, what would you suggest as kind of how much content should they be posting that is kind of salesy, and how much content should they be posting that's more so that just kind of building your brand?
I mean, if you're really salesy, people are going to tune you out. And I personally think that you get pushed down in the algorithms. The social doesn't necessarily love it when you're super salesy. But that doesn't mean that it's not reaching the right person at the right time, because we always want to give people a path forward. If you're just posting on social and then people think you're some kind of local influencer, that's not going to help you actually grow your real estate brand. So I think it's really good that you have a mix of content that you're doing, that you're talking about things that are important in real estate. You're helping guide those buyers and sellers. You're doing all of that as well. And when we think about when we're more salesy, we want to think about what kind of call to action or next step makes sense for that post. For a lot of times, agents, it's reach out to me, you're ready to buy or sell. Well, that might not be what they're ready to do yet. Maybe we want to send them to a series that you've created so that they can, get even stickier with you. Maybe we want to send them back to a piece of content that supports what you are talking about, like one of those lead gen opportunities we were talking about. Just straight, hey, here I am. Here's how I can help you, but in a more creative way. I would say you could do at least once a week if you want like a hard number, but don't do it every single day. And think about like subtle ways that you can keep the conversation going. And also, sometimes your posts, social media is such a fickle thing, but sometimes your posts might just be for fun. It's just for fun. So people see it and they connect with you and they move on. Not every piece of content might be like, this is the holy grail of lead gen, and I'm going to work with 15 buyers or sellers from it. We have to have a balance. And that's why it's so important to keep experimenting, trying, and showing up, because you'll start to figure out what really works for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, how can our agents track their success on social media? Because I feel like you mentioned the algorithm, you're always, trying to fight against the algorithm. So, with your clients, how have you been able, what metrics should they be looking at when they're tracking success?
So I think before diving into any kind of analytics, I want you to think about, hey, has somebody reached out to me recently that I haven't heard from in a while, and ask them, hey, how did you hear about me? As old school as that sounds. And they might say, oh, I was following you on Instagram. If you don't ask, you might not know, because they might be following you on Instagram. And then all of a sudden they contacted you on realtor.com, or they contacted you on your website, whatever it might be. So make sure that we are finding out the sources of business, and also see if, let's say, you're really into right now re-engaging your sphere, and maybe you're doing social content and you're also incorporating some of that into email, and you're reaching out in different ways to your sphere. When you talk to them again, be like, hey, it's been a minute. Kind of what brought you back into my world? And they might say, hey, I was following you on social, and I thought about you. I think it's really good to have that conversation first, instead of getting so caught up in likes and comments and shares and saves and tracking what works, because at the end of the day, it's the relationships that matter. I think of social as an opportunity for a relationship. And then from that relationship, that's how you're going to actually get those transactions. So think about, am I hearing from people? Are people saying things to me? I've worked with lots of agents where they have experiences where they have people that they know mention their social. Or I have a story that's great. One time an agent was out to dinner at a restaurant one evening, and somebody came up to her in the middle of the restaurant and said, hey, I know this is weird, but I wanted to stop by and say, I follow you on social and I really love your videos. And this is when she had first just kind of started, and she was like, oh my gosh, people are actually paying attention. So it's those moments like that that I love hearing, because it takes people off of the phone and into that real life relationship, because we are all so addicted to our phones right now. We spend so much time scrolling and so much time with our attention on it. We need to get people even out of that world and into our world to do business with them and to have those relationships. So she's a huge success story just because of, she was brand new to social, not from that kind of generation, stuck with it, tried things, wasn't afraid, and really was able to grow her business and start growing her brand recognition in her local market, which is huge, without spending a lot of money. And also, she was in South Florida. That's a very competitive market, going up against agents who have been doing it a long time and who are investing a lot of money. But just by being herself, being consistent, she was making an impact.
No, that's awesome. And just goes to show, that consistency that you were talking about earlier. And so, yeah, just to end, if you could give one piece of advice to an agent who's hesitant to start, what would it be?
I would say, do your first video today after this conversation. What is the worst thing that happens? Nobody looks at it. Your mom comments on it. You delete it later because you hate it. But the best thing that happens is it could set you off on this journey where you find out that, hey, social really works for me and it's actually building and growing my business. It could connect you with a buyer or seller that you wouldn't have had the opportunity before. It can lead to so many things. The rewards are so much greater. You just have to take that first step and try whatever it is. And when you're getting started with short form video, maybe today you post a story, something behind the scenes, and tomorrow you post your first reel. You can grow into it, but don't let anything hold you back, and especially yourself, because there are so many agents that are able to leverage social and they don't have anything different than you have. They just had that motivation and willingness to try and put themselves out there. So I know if you have that motivation and you're interested and you just try, that it really can work for you.
No, that's such a great tip. I agree. Like, just begin, I always tell people you miss every shot you don't take, right? So
Yeah.
just get in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so you're going to be joining us for our Mobile Mondays in November. Can you share with our members just how they can connect with you in the meantime? And if you have like a
Yeah.
freebie or anything, we can put that in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to follow me on Instagram. That's my main platform because that's what I love and enjoy, and I'm able to connect with people. So follow me on Instagram at Ideas for Real Estate. And you can follow me everywhere else there as well at Ideas for Real Estate. And I have a great social strategy guide and calendar that kind of walks you through the different types of content, how to put together a 30-day calendar, when to ask for business, what type of content's doing really well right now. Hint, it is content about you, content about your community, and listings. Those tend to do really well. And walks you through a lot of different ideas. So I can give you the link to that if people want to download that and check it out and get started. There won't be an excuse because you'll have a strategy, you'll know what to do, and you'll have a bunch of ideas to get going.
Yeah, we'll definitely include that in the show notes. Well, Heather, it's been such a joy to chat with you today. Can't wait for you to join us in November. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to NC Realtors Redefined. Be sure to never miss an episode by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud.